Hi there, Tiffany Vreeman here with Onsite Solutions on behalf of Room and Board, and we're going to do some training today, and it's going to be in relation to your neck. Neck pain is the fourth leading cause of disability, and so it's something that we need to pay attention to. So I brought Jeff in today to give me a little bit of support. And so the first thing I want to talk about a little bit, we have to talk about posture when we talk about the neck. So I want to give you this analogy. I'm going to give Jeff this bowling ball. And Jeff, I'm going to hold you up. Yep, hold it up just like this. And so it's a 14-pound ball, so it's kind of like your head. Your head weighs 8 to 10 pounds. I have him holding it up like this in a nice straight position. His forearm is, he's working. You're working?
Yes.
But okay. He can do it, right? So the idea is when you think about your head position, you want your head to be on top of your shoulders. And when you have that position and gravity's pushing down on you, as the gravity's pushing down on the ball, it takes work, but you can do the work, okay? So now if I have you actually put your fingers in the bowling ball like you're, okay? And instead of having the ball up here, I want you to have it leaning forward a little bit. So that's like if we have our head forward, the pressure that changes. What do you feel now?
A little discomfort in my forearms right here.
Okay. So what happens there, now do you think you could hold it there as long?
Not too much. Not too much longer.
Okay, so you can put the bowling down. So that was I want you to understand the bowling ball analogy. Your head weighs 8 to 10 pounds. It's like a bowling ball being held like this on your hand. You can do it, but there's work. If I have you tilt that forward and you're holding the bowling ball this way, you put a lot more pressure through your forearm, which put a lot more pressure in your neck to hold your head in the position. So as gravity pulls on us all day, we want to set ourselves up to do the least amount of work, okay? So now, Jeff, I'm going to have you turn to the side. I'm going to bring in my stick. We're in the state of hockey here. We're in Minnesota, so we're using the hockey stick. And I'm just going to put this on his back. And what you see here is you see that we all have natural curves. There's a space here in his low back, and there's a space in here where his neck curves in. Otherwise, everything else is touching the hockey stick. And that's good posture, that's good alignment, ear over the shoulder, and that's kind of how we want to be throughout the day. Now obviously we have things that challenge us. Now what I'm going to have you do is I want you to kind of rock, I want you to slouch in your shoulders. So as he slouches in his shoulders, what do you see that happens? His head comes forward and away from that good alignment. Okay, go ahead and come back up, okay? And so you see that good posture. Now what I want you to do is I want you to slouch in your low back. I want you to kind of slouch in that low back position. So as he slouches in his low, you can't even do it. He can't even slouch. He's got good posture. There you go. There's the slouch in his low back. So now his low back is touching the stick instead of having that nice space. And look what happens to his head. So the head goes forward too. So go ahead and bring that low back up and see there. So here's the deal. His neck was in poor position in both of those scenarios, but it had nothing to do with his neck. So having rounded shoulders brings your head forward. Having a rounded low back also brings your head forward. So the first thing I want you guys to understand is you have some control over where your head position is just based on getting that shoulder blade squeeze and pulling back, which we talked about on the last video with your shoulder, and also having that small round in your back and not actually having it round this way, having a little bit of arch in your back, okay? So in that idea, posture makes a big play as far as how your neck is going to feel. Okay, so now we're going to go through some work situations where this head and neck relationship comes into play. So obviously Jeff here at times has to sit at the computer. People sometimes sit all day at the computer. They're on the truck at times, and so this is important. So as you can see, he's just lounging here, okay? And if I put the stick up, you can see that there isn't a good relationship between the head and the neck. So what I want you to do is I want you to sit up a little bit taller, and I want you to scoot your butt to the back of the chair. Like this is actually an ergonomic chair. You can see the little curve in here. It's going to give them a little bit of support. And that's why when people sit in their chairs, we want them to use the back so that the back is supported. Because as you know, support that low back and that head comes back and is more in line. So when gravity's pushing down, I just ruined his hairdo, that he's pushing straight down. So if he's working on the computer, you know, the computer screen's in front of you, you want to have that nice position. As gravity takes over, sometimes you do kind of round and lean forward, so you always want to sometimes think about doing a shoulder blade squeeze to improve that position. So sitting, working at a computer, the computer height matters, the chair matters, and that's going to help you keep better alignment. So now back off a little bit. Now he's in the truck, vroom, vroom. So he's got his right foot out, is on the accelerator. He's gonna be having both hands on the wheel. What happens in this position, your shoulders have a tendency to round, your foot's out, and it's easy, unless you have a good supportive lumbar support in that driver's seat, it's easy to be rounded. So the idea here is either make that lumbar support match you. Not everybody's the same in the truck, right? So match where it helps to kind of bring your curves up. Or the other thing you could do is take your sweatshirt and put it behind your low back, and it'll lift him up a little bit, and that'll help bring his head back and have that better posture. And again, the shoulder blade squeeze would also support you, like when you're at stoplights, that kind of thing, to help get those shoulder blades back so you're not always rounded. So those are the 2 tips I have for when you're in the truck. The other task that you guys have is a lot of times you're using not this beautiful, beautiful table to build on, but NQ's inventory, working at a surface that's lower. So a lot of times what happens is what you do is you look down as you're working on that surface. So again, bowling ball on the head, you're putting a ton of pressure on the back of the neck to hold that head in position. And it also kind of pulls on the muscles that can go all the way down your low back. So if I use this analogy, you can see head is forward. Now sometimes that's the nature of the job, okay? So you're not always going to change that. But if you're more cognizant of it, come back up here, Jeff. Now what I want you to do is I want you to take one step back and then use your whole spine to kind of bend forward, okay? Now you can look down because your head's still in alignment there. So just by taking one step back, he can kind of do some work and keep his curves and not put as much pressure on his neck, which doesn't pull as much on his back. Some tasks will work this way, some tasks won't. But when you know you've got that technique that you can use to put lots less pressure on that neck, you can use that, okay? One of the last things we're going to talk about is actually when you're moving furniture, which it happens a lot. And the idea that your head position, again, has bearing on your low back position. And we always want to have those curves when we're actually doing lifting tasks. So if he's actually going to do a lifting task and he lets his head come forward, don't actually lift the couch, just pretend. So go ahead and go down, and he puts his head forward. Look, his butt's up, his back is rounded, he's not keeping his curves. He's going to get injured at some point. Go ahead and come back up. So now we're going to have him keep his head in line with the shoulders and keep his head up as he goes down, which is going to help him keep his curves. Go ahead. So he's in a much, much better position in his lower back because of where his neck position is. Go ahead and come up. So that's something very important, whether you're lifting something that's light or whether you're lifting something that's heavy, like a sleeper sofa. So that's what we have for you today.